Hey girls, welcome to episode 1 of the Bikini Fit video podcast series. So far the video podcast series has been an amazing success. We've had nothing but positive praise come back in, very little hatred from the YouTube hater community so far on episode number 1. This video podcast series is all about trying to debunk health and fitness myths. Our mission at Bikini Fit is to empower you to become the strongest version of yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And a large part of that is going against the grain, looking at what this machine of health and fitness industry is doing in terms of offering half-truths and gimmicky fads and 6-minute abs and cleanse this, cleanse that, and trying to break down the science and make it a little bit more easy for you guys to understand. So that's what we're here for. This video podcast is really cutting through some of the bullshit which is marketed towards this demographic and making the science easy to understand in short, concise, little bite-sized pieces. So I hope you guys enjoy the video podcast series. I'm really looking forward to getting your feedback, how we can improve this going forwards. Send us your questions, and I'll give you the answers. On this episode, we'll be discussing BCAAs. Should we take them during training, or a protein shake after training? We're going to be talking about calorie counting or set diet plans. And we'll be talking about being a little bit sore, a little bit brokey after training.
Annabelle asks, I'm drinking BCAAs during training. Do I still need to drink a protein shake after training?
Great question, Annabelle. So the question is, should I be consuming a protein shake after my workout if I'm already consuming BCAAs during the workout? Look, at the end of the day, none of this stuff is absolutely imperative. You don't have to be drinking BCAAs and you don't have to take a protein shake after training. There is, however, very, very real benefits. And the benefit of taking a protein shake directly after training is that you're consuming a highly bioavailable, very instantized, very rapidly digested protein source, which is full of the amino acids that you've essentially just broken down as you've broken down the muscle tissue. So as we're working out, we're breaking down the muscle tissue, we need that amino acids to get back into the body relatively quickly, nutritionally, after we finish the workout. So if you had an ideal situation where you had a garage style gym, doing a hard workout, you're finishing your hard workout, you're running upstairs and having some egg whites or something that's very, very easily digested nutritionally, and there's no need for you to actually have a protein shake during the workout or at the end of a workout. But for most of us, we're finishing a workout and then we're going off to our real job, or life gets in the way. So there could be a very long window of time between finishing your workout and your first meal afterwards, and that's where the benefit of a protein shake comes in. It basically assists you to get some nutrients into the body during that period of time to avoid us going catabolic and breaking down muscle tissue after the actual workout. So the idea of the protein shake is to get those nutrients in, to extend that window of time until our next protein-rich meal. Now, if you're taking BCAAs during the workout, that will also do the same thing. It will extend that period of time. The main benefit of the BCAAs is to get that leucine, which is one of those amino acids, being isoleucine, valine, and L-leucine. Now, L-leucine is the one which has shown the most clinical benefit to actually increasing protein synthesis. So the idea of consuming it whilst you're actually working out, you get a nutrient partitioning effect, you're putting that leucine into the muscle cells whilst you break the muscle cells down. And then the protein which you're absorbing through the rest of your diet has a slightly higher protein synthesis and it's getting broken down and absorbed better. So look, simple answer to your question, ideal, you would have a protein-rich meal. If you don't have access to a protein-rich meal in a very short window of time, being within half an hour, I would go and have your protein shake straight after training.
Annabelle asks, is there a specific diet or calorie count that Bikini Fit recommends?
Great question, Annie. So the question is there a specific diet or a specific calorie count that Bikini Fit recommends? And the answer to both those questions is no. And the reason is, every diet plan or every type of nutritional philosophy has to be relevant to who you are, why you're actually looking at nutrition in the first place. What's your objective? Is your objective to improve health? Is it to improve performance? Or is it to improve body composition? Now, of course, you can attack all three at one time, or you might have a priority towards one. But all of these things go into a large catalogue of areas you've got to start looking at as to actually how to work out how to eat based on your objective and who you are. Secondly, it's also considering your behavioural history with food. So in terms of the second part of the question, the calorie count, we don't have a specific range. It's going to be relevant to who you are, what you're training for, what your history with food is like. Of course, a calorie is not a calorie. So you could get fat off eating 1,500 calories of garbage. If you want to eat 1,500 calories by opening sugar sachets and downing those, you're going to get fat. Whereas 1,500 calories following, say, a ketogenic style diet plan might not be enough. So we focus much more on the education rather than the specifics. We don't need cookie cutter plans. But if we educate our girls on different nutritional philosophies, the pros and cons of each, how to look at each one uniquely and put a structure in place, then of course there's ways to work out formulas. We use a BMR calculator, working out your basal metabolic rate. We look at a DEXA scan to make sure we're looking at their body composition, what's fat, what's muscle, working out what metabolically active tissue needs based on the energy requirements, and then go to some formulas. So it sounds quite complicated. We give the girls the tools, and there's plenty of tools out there in internet land to work out how to get to this point. But of course, a large part of that is this relevant to who you are and what you're trying to achieve? The second part of the question is there a certain diet plan that Bikini Fit recommends? Again, there isn't, other than our one golden rule: try the no shit food diet for a while. The no shit food diet is revolutionary. It solves all the problems. Now we could sit here and argue about a pecan versus a walnut. Is this type of carb better than this type of carb? Whatever, and they're all true, and all these are valid arguments. But for most people, we spend so long focusing on the minutiae of little details that we overlook the fact that we ate a croissant for breakfast yesterday. I'm going to have 400 cocktails tonight. I'm going to eat dim sum tomorrow afternoon. So following the no shit food diet for a decent period of time is a huge quantum leap forwards for most people. When you've been doing that and had some structure in place, and you're not eating processed foods, you're not consuming alcohol, and you're sticking to sort of good, clean foods, then you can start getting specific around certain diet plans. Our basic rule, can you kill it, pick it out of the ground, pull it from a tree? That's going to solve all of those things. So it sounds kind of like paleo. We stick to whole, real foods. We don't go down the paleo route necessarily in terms of defining ourselves as paleo people, because the paleo foundation is fantastic. Avoiding grains, avoiding dairy, avoiding added sugars, avoiding alcohol, processed foods. All this is great because it reduces a lot of the digestive problems and the problems with gut dysbiosis, which these kind of foods on a broad spectrum of people tend to exacerbate. But the problem with the paleo sort of movement is paleo people. So you've got these people out there who have got very, very little credibility or understanding of nutrition at a cellular level, and they start promoting all these paleo health treats, which are basically just healthier versions of a Mars bar. It's still going to make you fat, it's still going to make you unhealthy, it just somehow fits into the sort of broader framework of paleo. So our perfect diet plan in Bikini Fit, the no shit food diet plan.
Rian asks, I'm still really sore from training. Is it okay to train tomorrow?
Thanks for the question, Rian. Great question. I'm still a little bit sore from training. Is it okay to train tomorrow? Look, muscle soreness, or DOMS as it's called, delayed onset of muscle soreness, is quite a common thing amongst men and women who train hard and regularly. I guess it's relevant to your experience. So if you're someone who's never really trained with weights or trained in a certain modality before, and suddenly you start training pretty hard, it's very, very easy to see how you're going to end up pretty broken pretty quickly. It's just a dramatic shock to your body. You don't even know how to recover and actually get rid of the lactate and to start rebuilding, regenerating. As you get more and more experienced, of course, that recovery process becomes better and better. And the stress which is induced to the body, which led to that kind of soreness, becomes less and less. So look, muscle soreness is not something which you have to achieve. Some people make the mistake of thinking that unless I walk away from a session completely battered and bruised and can't sit down on the toilet for the next week, that it was a shit session. That's not the case at all. And in fact, if you're nailing a lot of things to do with your recovery in terms of how you're programming your training and what you're doing nutritionally, the idea is to try to mitigate as much as possible that soreness, but still, push the sessions as hard as possible. So you have to have some intelligent programming in there. You can't just come to the gym and just do the same thing, balls to the wall day in, day out and expect a best outcome. So you shouldn't be necessarily associating muscle soreness with a good workout. That said, you shouldn't not train as hard as possible, as regular as possible, by trying to avoid muscle soreness. So look guys, it's part of the course of training with weights or training hard, training regularly, is your body gets sore, it gets broken. So, judge it for yourself. If you absolutely can't walk, then maybe skip a day or two and allow yourself to recover. But the worst thing you can possibly do is do nothing. If you sit at home bedridden because you're so sore, it's going to take much longer for those waste products to get removed from the muscle and for us to actually start the process of recovering. So if you're too broken to do a workout, the best thing you can do is go for a light walk. The blood flow and the heat will actually help temporarily. It'll still hurt a little bit after, but the most amount of movement you can get done as possible, it's going to facilitate that recovery. So hot and cold showers is another way to adjust that. You have to go really hot and really cold. So hopefully that helps in terms of some quick little tips on how to avoid or what to do with muscle soreness.